Tell me you miss me.
Huh?
Tell me you missed me.
Oh, yeah, quite a bit, yeah.
I mean,
I can see that.
I didn't feel that, Jim. I didn't feel it really. That was, you know.
Virtual hugs over the virtual highways.
I missed you, James.
Full of warm fuzzies, haven't you? The glass had to hide the tears of his.
That's it. It's the crying. It's the bloodshot eyes from the constant crying of missing you in local lockdown. So yes, in some fashion, we are back together remotely with each other. Now we're looking at trying to do a new format, which is kind of a review show, but slightly different. So this is films which are somewhat hard to get to. So they, as far as we can tell, they haven't had an official Blu Ray release. Doesn't look like they've had an official DVD release, but somehow we've tracked them down YouTube, and we think they're definitely worth seeing. And we're also going to campaign these films to get picked up by, you know, some really good boutique Blu-ray labels, which I know is a lot of work, but we do think these films need to be discovered by a bigger audience, bigger than our audience, which is minuscule. But yeah, we're going to try, you know, put these on as of other more talented people.
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest, Jim. I mean, you really brought this to me, this whole plethora of gems on YouTube, you know, films I didn't even fucking existed. And the one in particular today really, really impressed on me.
You're just going to leave it impressed me, but no, impressed me.
It's like forcefully done in a weird, But no, there's some real gems out there, and I hope people watching this will, you know, enjoy watching these videos to see what is out there. And
I think that's what I noticed. I got into, like, you know, when we kind of got stuck in our houses and forced to watch a bit more TV. Well, not forced, but, you know, like ended up watching a bit more TV. I wasn't really interested in the Netflixes or the Disney Pluses. I mean, the kids are on Disney Plus all the time, but so I fell down the rabbit hole of YouTube movies which, you know, aren't available digitally, and I was like, okay, let's see what you got. Some good stuff.
So there is some gems, definitely. So this one in particular.
There we go. Alrighty. So yeah, what we're looking at today is God Boy, or Boy God, or Stone Boy, or also known as ROCCO AAANG BATANG BATO from 1982. So it's a Filipino gem.
1982, is it?
1982. Well, I mean, again, this is going by Internet Movie Database, so pinch of salt. May have just been released in 82, may have been shot like in 1960 something. The special effects might make you think it was earlier.
Yeah.
But I suspect it's probably after 1980 because of a transformation effect, which I'll go on to later. So I think something was inspired by a movie from 1980, and we'll flag that up when we get to it. So yeah, this was something the internet gods bestowed upon me, and I was lucky enough to, very late night when I should have been sleeping, just go through YouTube, like the app on my TV, and falling down this, you know, rabbit hole of weird stuff, and I saw a trailer for Boy God, and I was just like, that's an amazing title. And the trailer was amazing. And you know, trailers, like especially modern trailers, you watch modern trailers and you're like, can't live up to it. It lived up to it.
It's upon a dark age, in a forgotten world of amazing myths and legends, when wretched creatures roamed about freely and preyed on the unsuspecting.
It's like that 2 minutes, but for an entire 90 minutes. So I had to share it with you.
You're very generous doing that, Jim, and I do appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So when did you first see this film? You only watched it yesterday?
Yesterday. I saw it yesterday. I slapped it on using the link you sent.
Did you have any chemicals with you to help enjoy it?
I just had caffeine. Actually, it was decaf.
Best chemical.
So, yeah, should we just get into it and start discussing it? Because why the fuck not? This is what we're here for.
Yeah, so, I think it's important. I think it's just one thing, just to jump in.
Yeah. To
keep reminding ourselves ever so often, this is supposed to be a kid's film.
Yes.
So.
Yes. So yeah, again, this is supposed to be a kid's film, and so the first scene in the film, there's going to be spoilers, people. So
absolutely,
yeah. The first scene in the film, like, because Jim watched this before I did, and he said to me that there's like an entity scene right at the beginning. He wasn't.
So jump in. So the classic 80s, Is it well known? Is it obscure? I don't know. Like,
I don't think it's well known, but I think if you're into horror, you'll know it.
so there was an 80s film about possessions where it was more like, rather than being possessed, the ghost was a bit rapey. And our kids film decided to start there.
Yeah. Which is and it's quite it's a really messed up scene, obviously, but and this film generally, it's got a lot of comedic moments, a really nice, like between Rocco, which is the subsequent, he is the
boy god
rape. Yeah, he's, you know, after this ghost god thing, rapes this Filipino village woman. Then Rocco is born.
Have you been reading my notes? Because that's almost verbatim what my notes say. Ghost god thing gets.
Yeah, it's exactly what the hell it was. But anyway, so Rocco is born, and it's so crazy. I'm trying to think of the storyline. So basically,
I think don't get hold up on the actual plot, because I wrote some notes and it doesn't really make sense overall. Just enjoy it scene to scene, which is might be the best.
Yeah, so it is pretty hard to kind of tell you the story of Boy God, because it is so fucked up as an overall story. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, there's a really good comedic, family-friendly kind of comedy. Like, I think the young boy was quite a good actor. He's jovial and really played the
I did a little
well.
bit of research. So this boy
Yeah.
is effectively like the Macaulay Culkin of Philippine. So
Right.
he is like the biggest box office draw, especially when he was younger. So this was like towards, this was like the Richie Rich era, Macaulay Culkin. So people weren't loving him quite as much.
Yeah.
But the earlier stuff, he was like the #1 box office draw in the Philippines.
He was good. I mean, there was a particular scene I quite enjoyed. His superpower or his special move is kind of like to do like a really fast Sonic the Hedgehog kind of like forward roll kind of thing. And there's this particular scene.
Good call on the Sonic the Hedgehog thing, right?
Yeah. There was a very entertaining scene where coming into the film are like vampires and werewolves. It goes a bit Hammer horror, and then they actually chase off a bat, Rocco, the young boy, and this
Batman, yes,
and this marine biologist who just appears.
Yeah.
So they chase off this bat, and instead of the bat flying, he's just literally just kind of flapping through the woods, walking. And then at one point they have a fight, and then he just chooses to the young boy chooses to just get down on his stomach and start chewing on the bat's calf. And then and I was like, what the fuck is this? This is just crazy. But anyway, so
could I jump forward? Actually, can I jump back? So, what I really liked, early on, talking about some of those comedy moments, was to establish things aren't quite right. It's really weird. So, the first scene is the mum getting raped by a god.
Yeah.
Then there's a very brief scene of her pregnant and people laughing at her. Then the next scene, bearing in mind this is 30 seconds later, it's her lying in bed grunting again. And you're like, oh, again? No, she's giving birth. And then the granny tries to cut the cord and the scissors break. And you're like, oh. It's like a superhero origin story.
Yeah.
Is it Jesus? It's like Jesus, because obviously, it's the son of God meets Superman.
Yeah. If the film is purposely trying to be mental and purposely trying to be this humorous with all those crazy sequences and very blunt introductions of characters with no backstory, no build-up, no context, they're just there on screen, and then you just got to take it. Okay, well, there's now 3 witches who are kind of like werewolves now, or now this is this marine biologist now, and it's like, so if
there's a man bat flying around, and also apparently, the Nazi Dr. Mengele, who now looks like a Filipino.
Yeah. And then this crazy kind of warlord gang leader guy, Robbo, I think his name was.
Yeah.
He's there in the first act, who's killing the parents of Rocco. You don't really see him then until later on, and he looks a bit smarter and a bit almost like American kind of
gangster pimp,
kind of guy, and it's like, oh well, you just appeared for that as well. So the direction was pretty poor, unless
it's intentional.
Yeah.
Do you know why I think it's intentional? I think this is perfect for kids, and again, it's a kids film. I think it's perfect for kids with ADHD or something like that, because if they're starting to get bored, the entire genre and the plot of the film will change every 20 minutes. And you can pretty much time it. So the first 20 minutes, right, is like the superhero origin story. Then the next 20 minutes is pretty much like a hammer horror, like you said. You know, you've got like, werewolf witches, which is a thing. And you've got Batmen flying around. Then once you get bored of that, it goes into like Greek myth fantasy era when he dons the outfit and all of that, and there's more gods showing up. And then the very end, the last 20 minutes, well, actually not even that, it's about 10 minutes, they run out of steam. The last 10 minutes is like this James Bond siege film with guys with machine guns and the gangsters. Or I mean, I'm being generous by saying James Bond, maybe like, you know, 80s Chuck Norris mission in action, canon horror.
It definitely went through the changes. It definitely took you from one.
You can time it, honestly. Watch it on YouTube and just jump forward and you're suddenly in a different film. So I think they're catering to a kid audience who, you know, back in 1982, they'd have to see this in the cinema. And to keep those kids quiet and, you know, sat in their seats, it's just like, okay, you're getting bored, kids? Okay, that's enough of the superhero stuff. Here's, you know, like bats and werewolf transformations. And here's, you know, giant cyclopses, conjoined twins fighting and like getting speared through. Here's a Wonder Woman type warrior princess.
No way! It's like, oh, hey Rocco, I got you a sword. Thanks, lady.
I'm guessing, I don't know for definite, but I'm guessing maybe she had her own series of films and it was like a crossover. Maybe this was like the Avengers.
I think you should definitely watch it. To say you've watched it. Whether I'd watch it again, I don't think so. But
would you introduce it to others if alcohol was present?
I think if you're just, you know, you're not intending to take in a serious storyline and just want to laugh and joke and have a few beers, absolutely, slap it on. You won't be disappointed. Or if you know somebody who's easily distracted or easily kind of like tunes out of, you know, good plots and narratives and complex characters and storylines, and they just prefer like the Kardashians. That kind of, it is kind of like that MTV quick cut kind of, you know, bullshit reality TV show kind of like, you know what I mean? It's like all quick cut, and you just, there's a character talking, there's another one talking, and they're halfway through a conversation about something else, and what the fuck's going on here? It's kind of like that. It's kind of like the early, you know, is that kind of editing, is that kind of written story script. And like I said, just the most brutal introductions of characters I've ever seen in a film.
Like literally, like, you know, he conquers the Batmen, he conquers the werewolves, and then suddenly a god appears. And you're like, all right, okay. Now, bearing in mind, at the very beginning, it's not said the rapey thing is a god. So you only kind of know it's a god when another god appears an hour later.
Well, that's the thing. This god, the first shot, I think, is of this god thing just appearing.
And raping.
Walking up the stairs, like, oh, hello.
There you go, yeah. And then later a god appears.
And then, forgive me, because you've watched this twice, like, so at the end where Rocco's mum is with his... You watched it 3 times?
Yeah, it's that good.
Yeah, trooper. So the mum at the end is with the ghost that raped her.
This is the bit where I was kind of like, yeah.
Where's the husband gone then? Because he got shot and murdered.
He got shot, but he was just a normal human, so he got shot. He doesn't come back. So what was kind of harsh was she got raped by a ghost, right? She then got killed by Ravi, something like that, because he was jealous and she was pregnant. So she only really got killed because this ghost raped her and impregnated her. Then when Rocco meets his god parent, literally his god dad, and his mum, he's really happy that they're together.
Yeah. That's what I thought. But fuck that.
Yeah, is that, you know?
Also, when at the end where he tries to hug them and it's like, oh, we're in a different realm now, and it goes through it. So you can't make contact when you're in that state, but you can dick a woman. You can't hug your child, but you can rape somebody.
Yeah. I think that's the rules. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Again, there's some really nice gags through the film, though, which you don't kind of see in other stuff. I talked about the scissor thing breaking. I thought that was cool. There's a bit, like, towards the end where he's beating up all these henchmen or whatever, and he grabs one. He spins him around so fast that the guy's clothes rip, and he just falls out in his pants. I was just like, you know what? If I was a kid in the cinema, I would be rolling around in the aisles, cracking with laughter at that. So,
Yeah,
like, probably what I would do if I wanted to show this to my kids now, I'd skip the first quiz.
Yeah.
Because that bit's kind of like, that's not a conversation I want to have with my daughters right now.
I think if they drop that rapey scene,
if it was consensual, I mean, he looked like a very handsome god. He's very nice. He is a god.
God could be well hung and went in too dry. I don't know. I mean, that's
the only other bit I might have a problem with, and this was a bit where I kind of did a double take, is he spends a good chunk of the middle of the film naked when the werewolf witches are trying to cook him on the spit.
Yeah.
Like they lather him up with grease.
Proper lather him, yeah. There was this like long, I think it's like tilt up, and it's just there. It is like totally in the nud.
Yeah, thankfully a well-positioned flower in shot.
Yes, yeah. It's like, all right, you're close to the knuckle here. The
knuckle.
Yeah, there were definitely a lot of moments which I thought that this can't be a kids' film, but there was an awful lot of moments which I thought, like, if Caden watched this, he would be absolutely hysterical. He wouldn't find this remotely scary.
No.
The bat costumes, the werewolf costumes, like, it's the campus werewolf. Obviously, there's a woman in there, but it looks like she's running off, and it's like, ooh,
backlit, beautifully backlit. There are some good shots in here. I mean, the effects are pretty ropey, but it's fun ropey. It's kind of like, like 1970s Doctor Who stuff. So, there's like rear projection, there's front projection.
Yeah.
There's weird. So the reason I think it probably is 1982 was because, to me, I think they'd seen American Werewolf in London, and they tried to do like the stop animation version of that transformation. They clearly didn't have a Rick Baker to do the effects practically, so they kind of went, "We'll do a stop animation version of it."
Definitely, when I was seeing the transformations, and they definitely took us long. But that's what I kind of thought. Yeah, they've had a little look at that film and thought, we could give that a whirl. But yeah, there was definitely some questionable effects. It was shot quite nice. I mean, I like a lot of the nighttime scenes.
I mean, bearing in mind what we've watched, as far as I can tell, is a bad VHS rip.
Yeah, it's very low res.
Loaded up onto YouTube low res. Yeah. So as far as we could tell, it looks like it was shot well. The effects were low. Like I said, I think nothing worse than you'd see on BBC 1970s.
But then I think if they were intentionally trying to take the piss a little bit, I mean, like, I know if we were doing it, we would be a bit more like relaxed with the effects. Well, it kind of adds to the humour. Do you know what I mean? So
I don't know if they were taking a piss, but they may have been thinking, this is a kid's film. Who cares?
He's either taking a piss or they were fucking on acid, because that was mental. Absolutely mental. Yeah, I've got nothing else to say about it, but like, what the fuck?
I mean, all I can say is watch it. Jim probably won't watch it again sober unless he wants to inflict it upon other people.
It's one of those ones where I'll, like, if I got to meet over, I'm going to be like, oh, have you ever seen this film? Check this. I wouldn't just go for that again.
And I'd probably jump the first 3 minutes and then show it to my kids, because I think my kids would just, again, they wouldn't be impressed by the effects or find it scary or anything like that. But I think they'd be entertained enough by the fact that it's like, weird god superhero origin, horror movie, fantasy film, and then action movie at the end with machine guns.
You're right. If you've got a short attention span, this is probably a film you'd enjoy.
Yeah.
Definitely for kids. So in that, in that kind of thinking, I mean, the filmmaker doing great, making a film like that, So, but yeah, definitely drop that first scene for kids watch.
I got to do my best to track. I've got to be honest. I haven't watched a huge amount of Filipino cinema, so I'm going to try track some more down. I'm not saying necessarily to inflict upon you, Jim. Just
thanks.
Curiosity. I'll watch some more.
Yeah.
So, okay. To be fair, I only told Jim about this morning. So, like, one of the things I'm thinking about is which label would this be perfect for? Now, Jim, I'll jump in first, and then, to give you all of 2 minutes to think of an answer. But out of all the labels that I'm aware of that are out there, I think Vinegar Syndrome, they're like more of an American outfit, but they put out some really obscure, weird shit. And I think it would be brilliant. I think they'd give it the respect it needed. They're pretty good with extras and all of that stuff as well. I'd be fascinated just more about like an overview of Filipino cinema. I don't know if that's out there, because if this is what they're making in 1982, I want more.
Also, this is part of a series of films, like I said about that Wonder Woman character.
I think so. I mean, that's just because she just kind of appears, and then
that would make one mental box set, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I want to see more of Nino, the boy actor Rocco. You know, his actor, his real name's Nino. I want to see more of his stuff. You know, that would be cool to see. Ended stuff.
He was one of the most believable things in the whole film. The only believable thing in the whole fucking film.
There was some really good. I really like some of the villager actors. There was that really skinny villager who was
yeah.
Oh, I was so brave, and then like his kids.
Yeah.
All of that stuff was so OTT.
There was some solid comedy in there. There was some really good, like proper, quirky, funny characters in there. There was a lot going on in that film. Like 88 films seem to have a lot of crazy, fucked up films. And
88, they put out some good Asian cinema.
They're into that kind of restoring all classics and stuff. So maybe some foreign, Filipino box set including that. I can see him doing that possibly. Yeah. Perhaps. I think if this film was on DVD or Blu Ray with extra features, I'd be quite interested to watch and see what the filmmaker was thinking. You know what I mean? Like, I think I'd be quite curious to find out his kind of what his thinking was and everything. So that I think that would make quite for interesting behind the scenes kind of stuff.
Cool. Okay, so Vinegar Syndrome, 88 films. Get on it, guys. Definitely start a bidding war over it. Sounds good. So if you like this film, Jim, what would you recommend other people check down?
I would literally get some Hammer horror, A Werewolf in London, Entity, get Krull, right?
Krull's good.
And I would just edit random scenes from all of those films together, and I think that is Boy God. But definitely, if you want a little taste, there's no one film that can give you the whole Boy God experience.
No, that's true. I'll agree with that. One thing I would say I think comes closest that I could think of, and this again is more of a kids film, and the kids films of Robert Rodriguez. So you got the Spy Kids, and they're kind of weird and wacky, and they'll jump around a lot. And did you ever see one he did called Shorts?
No.
That's worth a check. It's more of like an anthology thing with a couple of characters running all the way through it.
All right. Okay.
But again, it's like they're 5-10 minutes long, and it's again that short attention span, and it'll become like a spy movie, and then it will become like a horror film, and then it will become a sci-fi thing. So it reminded me of that Robert Rodriguez trying a thing and just keep it quick and moving fast for kids. Because I do, and I've noticed this watching it with my kids. My kids love the Robert Rodriguez kid stuff because it's not trying to keep adults necessarily entertained. It is aimed squarely at the kids and just keep them entertained.
No, definitely. Katie's a big fan of Spy Kids, Shark Boy, and Lava Girl, and all.
That's the one. Yeah, exactly.
So
it's that same kind of of course. Boy God, Stone Boy, Shark Boy, Lava Girl. Why not? So that was Boy God, aka God Boy, aka Stone Boy, aka I'm going to read this one. ROCCO AAANG BATANG BATO. I'll drop a link to the trailer down below, and then go out there and try find the film yourselves. And unless, of course, somebody does pick it up and release it on Blu-ray and DVD, in which case I absolutely recommend you guys pick it up.
Yeah, and if you do manage to watch it, please let us know in the comments down below what you think of it.
Oh definitely. Let's have a conversation. I need to talk to more people about Boy God.
Yeah. And I think also if you guys can recommend any films for us to watch, definitely. Yeah.
So I'm going to kick Jim's ass. Jim, you've got to come up with something. You've got to try top Boy God for next episode. Okay.
Oh, man, hands down, I think that was the winner the full time.
Gotta find something. I've got about 3 or 4, but I want to go as well, mate. So you're next.
I'll get my hunter's hat on instead.
Get in the rabbit hole.
Yes. Is it? So yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's
All right, mate. Cool. Let's wrap it up. So, Jim, likey, subscribies.
God, I haven't done this for a fucking while, right? Yeah, so don't forget to like and subscribe. Any comments, even down below in the comment section. Yeah, I think that's just done for another week.